Hey everyone, Alpha Eagle here again. Welcome back to my channel. I pray you're all doing well, and may God bless you all. For anyone who doesn't know, I grew up in the 80s, and one of my favorite IPs I grew up with is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And even today, I collect the current Masterverse action figure line. So of course, when I heard a new live-action movie was being made, I was so excited. Until I remembered we were living in an era of woke, so I quickly began to dread how they would screw it up. See, He-Man has had a terrible track record when it comes to recent adaptations. The first was the She-Ra remake, which was just lesbian fan fiction. It was nothing more than lesbians beating each other up, which is pretty accurate to real life, actually. Then there was the He-Man remake, and the animation looked excellent, and was led by Kevin Smith. And I thought to myself, great, he's a fan of geek culture. He's not going to screw it up by sidelining the main character and putting a bunch of race-swapped lesbians in it. Right? Right? Oh. Then there was the 3D animated series for kids with horrible character designs. There's no way I would like this, but it turns out it was the best one so far. The animation was terrible, but the story was actually pretty decent. But keep in mind, just because it's better than the other two, doesn't make it good. It was still a bit woke with gender and race swaps. Then Kevin Smith's He-Man got a second season that I didn't even bother to watch. But I thought, it can't be any worse than the first season, can it? I mean, this one has William Shatner as Keldor, and perhaps Kevin Smith listened to the fans and learned from his mistakes. Right? Right? Nope. I found out that in it, the Eternian monarchy was disbanded for no reason whatsoever. Now, okay, that was dumb, but now that Eternia is a democracy, who's going to be the very first president of Eternia? Naturally, it's of course going to be He-Man, right? Right? Are you kidding? You can't have the main character, a straight white man, who was prophesized to eventually rule Eternia, be the first president. No, silly. It has to be the race-swapped black lesbian who made her first animated appearance in this series. Who else would it be? So that brings us to the recently announced casting of Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms in the new live-action He-Man movie. Man-at-Arms was originally white, who of course they had to race swap. Now, as I mentioned before, race swapping is nothing new to the He-Man brand. There were multiple race swaps in the She-Ra remake, He-Man remake, and the 3D animated series. They even race swapped He-Man's ancestor, King Grayskull, for no reason whatsoever. But why do they do it? Okay, we all know why they do it. It's to virtue signal and get good ESG and DEI points. But what I don't get is, if they want to add diversity, why don't they just cast Idris Elba as a black character that already exists in the He-Man universe? I mean, Idris Elba could play Malakatha, the Eternian archaeologist. He could play Clampchamp, who eventually became the second Man-at-Arms after Duncan. So they probably wouldn't have to change much in the script. He could play Decker, who was Man-at-Arms' mentor. Again, they wouldn't have to change much in the script. Just have him be the first Man-at-Arms before Duncan took over. He could play Sunman, who Mattel recently integrated into the He-Man storyline. He could play Buzzoff, who technically isn't human, but he does have brown skin. He could play Zodak, who Mattel explained isn't the same character as the original Zodak, but is another cosmic enforcer who happens to have a name pronounced the same but spelled differently. So I just listed 6 characters who are equally as important, and in the case of Zodak, are more important than Man-at-Arms, that Idris Elba could play, and he wouldn't have to race swap them. So casting him as Man-at-Arms is totally unnecessary. Unnecessarily race swap a white character for the sake of diversity, when there are plenty of non-white characters. It's called forced diversity. I can hear all the woke queers now. But Man-at-Arms' race doesn't matter to the character. Well, if it doesn't matter, why did they change it? And why is it always the white character's race who, quote, doesn't matter? And I'll say yes, Duncan's race does matter. I mean, he is Teela's father after all, and she's supposed to be white too. And they'll come back with, well, he's her adopted father, so they don't have to be the same race. And I'll say, well, hold on a bit. In the 2000X Mike Young produced He-Man series, they hinted that Duncan might be Teela's actual biological father. MYP He-Man also revealed that Fisto, who is also white, is Man-at-Arm's brother. So that's two white characters who are biologically related to Man-at-Arms, so it doesn't make any sense to cast Idris Elba. Hollywood's gonna do it anyways because, frankly, they're racists, and they hate straight white men, and they will find any excuse to replace them. And white women, don't think that just because you're a woman, they won't replace you too. A Latina Brazilian woman, Camila Mendes, will be playing Tila. Well, at least she dyed her hair red for the part. I can't decide if this is another example of gingercide or ginger cultural appropriation. Well, I'll say it's both. In other casting news, Alison Brie, a Jewish woman, will be playing the evil witch Evelyn. They casted He-Man himself, and He-Man will be played by Nicholas Galitzine. This guy had better start working out. Now, he has played gay characters in the past, which has caused rumors about his own sexuality. Gee, I wonder why people think this guy is gay. But he claims to not be gay. Now, to be fair, I don't care if this guy is gay. I just don't want him to play He-Man as being gay. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Alpha Eagle. God bless you for watching. God bless America. And I pray that this woke era of Hollywood ends pretty soon so we can get back to having normal entertainment.